Yeah, Shubhankar, we are back here now on video as well as our podcast
Yes.
on the project Under the Sun,
Yeah.
the book that we are releasing on 27 September. And yesterday, in our first video, we ended up with two things. One was talking about the book and how that book has come about. And most importantly, we decided to be self publishers. Now, what exactly is self publishing? How exactly did we go about it? This is one thing I want to record it in these videos which we are putting on the YouTube as well as the podcast where we both are discussing real time. Yesterday we were discussing as to how we came about the idea of the book. And then there was that one particular day when we decided that the book is going to be written.
Yeah.
And that was almost after about, I think, 25 or 30, more than 100 articles were there on the website.
Yeah.
The YouTube channel had been launched. And I also used to do a lot of Twitter spaces
Yeah.
where I started talking on various topics, including that 4 a.m. club and telling the military tales. And where the responses which I got, the three main things one was the storytelling ability, the second was the writing skill, the third was translating the actual emotions on the paper. And all these things, when they started, taking shape, and I started realizing that yes, yeah, we can, why not? And that's the time the first idea came in.
Last September, when we started discussing the book project, we started discussing over all the kind of things that we're looking to do online, building a presence and then developing multiple online businesses. So, if you remember, that was a time where we had drafted a very, very rough plan, a very macro plan over the next, I think it went up till 2025, where we discussed what all activities we want to do, how do we want to synchronize these activities, and where exactly the books come in. And then there was a time, I think it was February this year, when Nachiket was here and he was visiting, where the three of us decided to sit together and actively work for four projects, of which this book project was just one of them. And so I think that that should be the starting point for our discussions where we're trying to reveal to the world how exactly we have thought about this, how we are executing this, and then we'll start drilling down into our discussions over the last months since September, since that macro plan was decided till date.
You just gave me an idea for our next set of videos
Yeah,
and our next set of podcasts.
yeah,
Something you have not even realized inadvertently you have said just now. These videos are all about Under the Sun book and how we started our journey to become self publishers. We are halfway. It's some time before we actually are able to publish our book.
yeah,
So our experience is still not full.
yeah,
So we are sharing it real time.
yeah,
What you have just revealed is that in 2020, when the lockdown was there, that is the time we both came up with the idea of a company called, we'll just name it KD. We'll give it a random name. I do not want to reveal the actual name. So we talk about KD. That is our project. How did we want to do a digital company which would permit us to work from wherever we wanted in the world,
yeah.
put in as many hours as possible. It takes care of individual passions, your passion, my passion, Nachiket's passion. We don't control each other's passion, and how do we thereafter commercialize it?
Yeah.
Now, this is that big project that we took 2 years back. YouTube was part of that. www.colonelsanjaypandey.com, that blog was part of that. This book project actually has come out of it, and there are so many other things which are coming out of it.
Yeah.
That digital presence now is becoming bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
What we initially thought was a dream actually is turning into a reality.
Exactly, because if I remember correctly, in that plan that we laid out, books weren't anywhere on the horizon until I think 2023. or 2024, I believe. We basically preponed everything by about a year and a half,
Exactly. Yeah.
because we started getting much more response, much more traction on the internet than what we had originally thought we might get. And so I just wanted to talk about that a bit more. I think the book project, as in what books we might write or what books you might write specifically, those ideas started really taking shape once we started getting feedback on the blog, number one, and also the kind of videos that you were putting out on your YouTube channel.
Another thing, what you're saying, just to add to it, book project started again the way I have always approached writing. I was very scared.
Yeah.
So I did not even know what does writing a book mean.
Mm.
So I knew that it means volume. So what is that volume? And the first step I took was I used to write stories by then. I used to write military tales, articles, and more than 100 articles were there. We used to write YouTube. Content wise, we had tremendous amount of content. We have tremendous amount of content even today.
But it was all disorganized.
It was disorganized,
Yeah.
but when we started talking about book, I remember the first thing did was I took out a random 8 to 10 novels that were lying in my home. Either they were my collection or left back by my children, and I just spread them on the bed. I randomly picked up a book, randomly opened a page, counted the number of lines, and counted the number of words on each page. And then I took another one and another and another. Then I took a scale and then I took their sizes. Then I realized that there are some standard sizes.
Yeah.
Then I looked at the paper. Then I said, "Ki, the paper is different." So then slowly I started realizing that if I have to put in 300 words per page, so for a book of 250, I must have nothing less than 75,000 to 80,000 words.
Yeah.
And slowly I started understanding that everything starts first from the volume, that you want your book to be of how many pages, and that requires how many words. And then I went back to my stories, military tales, or the articles that I was writing, and then I started randomly going into the word count.
Mm.
Then I realized that my word count per story which I was writing was coming to approximately 3,000 to 4,500 words. Taking the lower side, then I said, if I have to have 100,000 word, so this means I must have how many stories?
Yeah.
So this is how we started backward. And then I remember that day when we both would sit in the evening and I would tell you that this is what I did today. And we hadn't carried out any internet search or Google to find out how to start. So then decided that we will do everything on our own and we will not Google to find out how to do it. We wanted to go through that experience.
Yeah.
And then this word count and the book thing started.
And I think the book project really took shape around February. That is the time where Nachiket was here, and the three of us sat down and we had a very major discussion on, this is the idea that we want to work. And that's when we sort of roped him into this entire thing that you and I had been working on together. We'll call it KD. And there were around 4 projects that we all allotted within ourselves. And he, I think, is the man behind the scenes for this entire work that we are doing with Under the Sun. He is actually the one who's managing the entire project, ensuring that we stick to the timelines that he has laid out. And then basically, he's the project manager for all of this. And I think that credit to him, because that is where, once we started working in February, that's when the book project really took shape. And that's where we started getting the momentum.
I would actually put it in a slightly different way. See, whenever we are working in a team, yeah, there is always one person who is doing a particular job, another one who is doing a job, but we cannot say that when you're working in a team, that who actually is running at number one. So the team actually has to be running at number one at all the time. So everyone has to be together. So you cannot actually say that this particular part is more important than that part. In a car, you can't say the engine is most important because it is Nachiket. So if I am the tire, I'll just puncture myself. So it's at the end of the day, it is a team.
No, absolutely. It is a team effort. All I'm saying is that until February,
Yeah, I'll tell you.
where we had not really put our thoughts into action, that's since we started working together as a team in February, that's when all of this thought started being converted into action.
That was, if you remember, October and November. That's the time I had gone to Nachiket on a holiday.
Yeah.
That's the time we had 2, 3 sittings where he was not convinced.
Yeah.
And he said he wanted more time. Not that he was not convinced. He said he wants more time.
Yeah.
We both were deeply into it since 2020.
Yeah.
As I came back from leave, I told you that he's going to come in December. He wants to have a couple of more meetings. And it is you and Nachiket, you had more meetings. And it was all about his getting involved with the KD work, the bigger digital work that we were doing.
Yeah.
It is only in February, as you rightly say, that we said we came down to specifics of projects,
Yeah.
and we put our fingers on 1, 2, 3, and 4 projects, of which we said we must launch 2 of them as early as possible.
Yeah.
It's when Nachiket came on board and when we threw all the 4 to everyone to volunteer and take up. So he volunteered and took up the book.
Yeah.
You volunteered and took the Abadabba. We are going to talk much more about Abadabba once we finish with all our series
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
That was your project. And that project also is going wonderfully well. So we'll be talking about that. That becomes another podcast series. That becomes another video series
Yes.
of your work. This one was taken by Nachiket, and we both agreed to work under him.
Yeah.
For Aba Dibba, me and Nachiket agreed to work under you.
Yeah.
And the third project which I had, you both agreed to work under, and then I took the overall responsibility because of my age, maybe exposure, maybe experience, to always look at the bigger picture and keep the entire projects going and together.
And I have to say that the maximum joy that I have derived in my professional learnings has been working on KD. This entire big architecture that we have laid out for ourselves, where we are learning so many new things every single day, and it's just a explosion of new things that you're forced to learn every day. And forced is the wrong word, but basically it leads you down paths of creativity and learning new skills that I hadn't imagined existed.
I have never done these things earlier, have I? We have told in the first video that how I put myself into writing.
Yeah.
So even for me, every day morning is about learning something new today. Coming back to the book project, you know now how I came down to 100,000 words.
Yeah.
That I must have something between 80,000 to 100,000 words.
And it was in February that we decided that we are launching a book on 27 September, because 27 September holds a special meaning for you.
Exactly. So,
But
yeah,
at that time, we didn't know which book we'd be launching or what the content would be or what
Nothing.
the topic would be.
absolutely.
That's, I think, been decided somewhere around March, April. So April, May, June, we are shooting this on 22nd June. It's just been about 3 months that we have really been working and building ourselves to finish the manuscript and talk to the printers and finish the product and decide about the marketing and all of that. So
The only thing we had was I never stopped writing stories.
yeah,
So even in February and March when we were talking, I already had a pool of 100,000 words.
yeah,
That was already there. There was one more thing in February, which to the team I presented. I presented as many aspects of publishing as possible because I contacted couple of online publishers, and in their exuberance they would tell about different plans they have, and they would forward the different plans. Their marketing people would call and numerous questions answered. Very slowly I realized that the entire intellectual property belonged to me. The entire work belongs to me. But the thing is, because I am not a publisher, I am just an author, I will end up only getting royalty. Probably 50 to 60 to 70% at times. The cost of the book will be kept by them. 30-35% will come to me. And then my script is with them. I have to trust them. How do I push my book, the genre of which is not even existing in the market?
Yeah.
I'm not writing on fiction. I'm writing on something on which people do not have any expertise. Or if they have spent their life like that, there are no books.
Yeah.
So if my genre is so niche, so high, why should I just throw it away by giving it to a publisher?
Yeah.
And it is that time that when we all sat together that we decided that we will self publish it. It is during these meetings that we started discussing the publishing part, the self publishing part, very, very extensively.
Yeah.
So, our journey from counting of the words on a page to how many pages to content to creation of the content was over. Our knowledge about publishing and how the entire system comes, that we spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I'm happy actually about you to where you carried out the SEO of all these things online, and contribution of Nachiket, I can never forget the professional way he dealt with this entire project, and the way he would make his sheets, and in the sheets with the way he would write the targets and the work to be done. I don't know how much research he used to carry out. That was an absolutely wonderful job that he had done.
Yeah.
So when we put these three things together, there's a man who wants to publish the book and content creator. Then there is someone who is doing all the SEO, all the work. There's third one who is also working in publishing. So today we are at what point? I think the next video we will talk about anything that happened after February,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. That's roughly all the points that I have written down in terms of the things we want to cover in the next few videos. And personally, for me also, I've really enjoyed the three of us working together, because everyone brings their own specific skill set to the entire thing. And talking about marketing for the book and launching, because basically we're all learning how to sell something online today. And that is the biggest, most interesting part of the journey, because we are creating something new, we're dealing in a new industry. But at the same time, we're learning everything to do with YouTube, about everything to do with Twitter, how we promote a product online, how we integrate the sales channels, what the payment gateways are like, what the email marketing is like. So there are so many new things to work on every single day that it makes life very exciting, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So he has already told you what all things we have already done so far, which are going to be coming in the next video. So that is the third. What I actually promise the listeners and to the viewers is that by the time you finish seeing this series of ours, Under the Sun, publishing of a book, self publishing of a book, I'll rather say, by the time you end listening to this entire series, if any one of you is a writer who actually wants to publish a book, we will come down to even the cost, how much money you require to spend to self publish a book. And probably this thought came to me only yesterday. I have not even discussed with you that once we have successfully launched, why don't we actually put another video for the world to say that come contact us? If you want to be a self publisher, we will walk the journey with you till the time you publish your book.
Yeah.
Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, with that, we will call off this particular session, right? So, on to the third video, the third podcast after this,
Yeah.
and in which we'll talk about all the topics you spoke just now.
Absolutely. And
Right?
before we end the video, just a reminder for everyone who's watching or listening to the podcast, the book Under the Sun releases on 27th September 2022. If you are interested in checking out the book or pre-ordering the book, we are open for pre-orders, and the link for the pre-order will be in the description with the podcast or with the YouTube video.
Or just log into Colonel Sanjay Pandey, COLSANJAYPANDE.com. As soon as you log in there, the first page itself, just click it there, you'll be taken to the page. Right then?
There's a big banner on the homepage.
Yeah, there is a big banner. Right then? Thank you and bye bye.